first thing I noticed was the smell. Not the kind of old dust you expect beneath a church, not the simple must of stone. It was sharper, like iron coins pressed against the back of my teeth, like wet earth after a storm. The crypt beneath St. Matthew's had its own breath, and it was colder than the air outside, though spring sunlight was still warm on the cornfields. I had never been in this town before. The road here cut through Illinois farmland, straight lines of soil and sky. The church itself was small, wooden, with white paint peeling, and a bell tower leaning like a tired shoulder. Behind it, the graveyard sloped downward, crowded with crooked stones that looked more like teeth than memorials. When Father Thomas Grady called me, I thought it would be simple caretaking: sweep, lock doors, keep kids from spray painting angels. What I found was nothing like that. The trap door was under the altar rug. Grady pulled it up with one hand, his thin arm stronger than it looked, and a breath of air slid up the stairwell. It carried dampness, iron, and something else that raised the hairs along my neck. He lowered a lantern into the dark and told me to follow. The steps twisted down until the church above was only a faint echo. At the bottom, the crypt opened into a chamber lined with alcoves. Stone coffins rested in them, lids carved into the faint outlines of human forms, though time had worn away faces until only shadows remained. The walls sweated. Water ran in thin veins, catching the lantern light like threads of glass. But what held my eyes was the plaque. A rectangle of silver was mounted to the far wall, polished bright though everything else here had been left to rot. 7 lines had been cut into the metal with a hand that meant to wound it deeply. The grooves caught the candle flames and seemed to glow. Father Grady pointed. "Read them." I did. My voice echoed flat against stone. 1. Always keep silver upon your skin. 2. Never light flame after midnight. 3. Do not read the names carved in stone. 4. Do not answer the voice that calls. 5. Salt the threshold each dusk. 6. No outsider may enter the crypt. 7. At sunrise leave and do not look back. When I finished, he pressed a rosary into my hand. The beads were heavy, cold, each seam sharp enough to bite the flesh if squeezed. "If you follow them, you will live," he said. "If you break them, you will not." I tried to smile, but my throat was too dry. "Who wrote them?" "Men who learned quickly," he said. "Older than Rome, younger than Eden. That is all you need." He left me in the chamber, his shoes climbing the stairwell, the trap door groaning shut above. The sound of the rug sliding back into place was the last link to ordinary life. I was alone with the coffins, the plaque, the silence that felt more like listening than emptiness. I should tell you who I am. My name is Daniel Mercer, 37, widower. My wife, Sarah, died 3 years ago in a room that smelled of medicine and incense, while men in collars spoke Latin that felt like wind. They said she was beyond saving. I remember her eyes begging, terrified, not possessed. I do not go to church now. I answered Grady's call because drifting through life is worse than guarding stone. The chair they gave me was plain wood, set in the middle of the chamber. I sat with the lantern, the rosary looped around my wrist, the Bible on my knee. At first I tried to read. The words swam. I closed it and listened. Every sound mattered here: the drip of water, the sigh of air through cracks, the shuffle of my own breathing. Midnight came. My watch said 12 exactly. The candle flame shook as if it knew. Rule 2, snuff the light after midnight. I pinched the wick with wet fingers and the smoke curled into the air, thin and gray. Darkness pressed against me, not absolute, but close. The plaque gave off a faint shimmer. The lantern by the stairs was dying, its glow shrinking like an old man's breath. Then I heard it. A scrape of stone, soft but deliberate, from the far alcove. Another scrape, slower, as if to say it could be louder if it wished. Then a whisper. "Daniel." It was not a stranger's tone. It was Sarah's. Every hair on my arms lifted. I looked at the plaque, at Rule 4. Do not answer the voice that calls. My mouth filled with stone taste. My tongue wanted to shape her name. Reflex, not choice. I pressed the rosary until the beads cut into my palm, pain blooming sharp enough to keep me still. Daniel, the voice said again, softer, closer, the way Sarah used to lean when she wanted me to really listen. I shut my eyes, breathed once, breathed again, and said nothing. The silence that followed was not relief. It was disappointment. The crypt exhaled, a cold draft moving past my face. Something tapped the floor behind my chair. I did not turn. I counted heartbeats until the pressure eased. The rest of the night dragged in long waves. A stone clicked somewhere. Water shifted paths. Shadows seemed to grow shoulders. But the voice did not return. At last, pale light leaked through the seam of the trapdoor above. Rule 7. Leave at sunrise, do not look back. I climbed the stairs, every step heavier than the one before. The door gave way, and morning poured over me like warm hands. Father Grady sat in the front pew. His head was bowed, his hands folded. He looked at me without surprise. "You heard it?" he said. I nodded. "And you did not answer?" "No." He pressed his lips thin. Relief flickered across his face, though not joy. More like a man who watches a student keep his head above water for one night. "You will return at dusk," he said. "Do exactly as the plaque demands. No more, no less. Bring nothing down there except what I give you." I swallowed. "What am I protecting?" He studied the stained glass above us, the colored light fractured across his white hair. "You are protecting a boundary," he said, "between what people believe they want and what they cannot survive." "That is not an answer. It is the only one you will have until you are ready for worse." He stood and walked toward the door, pausing only once. "The voice will try harder tomorrow. It will remember things only Sarah knew. It will tell you truth small enough to buy something larger. Do not listen. Do not speak. To be seen by the wrong eyes is hunger. Hunger will eat you whole." Then he was gone. I sat alone in the colored light and tried to believe I had resisted. But the truth is simpler. I had not resisted. I had obeyed. There is a difference. One feeds strength. The other feeds cages. I left the church and walked the graveyard slope. Names carved deep into stone leaned toward me. Rule 3. Do not read them, but eyes wander and words enter even if you try to block them. Some names I knew from town history. Some were foreign, letters wrong for English mouths. I thought about Sarah's grave far away and how her stone was meant to be read, meant to carry her name. Rules that forbid names carry something else entirely. Theft. The day blurred. I tried to sleep in the rectory, but dreams came edged. Every time I drifted, I saw the stairs, the plaque, the coffins. Every time the voice spoke again, sometimes Sarah, sometimes not, always calling me back. I woke with stone taste in my mouth and the phantom weight of a hand on my shoulder. By evening, I salted the threshold as instructed, dragging the white line steady. The trapdoor resisted, heavy, as if the crypt itself wanted no witness. The lantern caught flame and bled light down the spiral. My feet carried me, because that was the rule. I sat again in the wooden chair. The rosary cut my skin where burrs pressed. The plaque shone. I read the rules aloud once more, not for belief, but because a voice that fills a room keeps the room from filling you. My words came back thinner, higher, like a child had repeated them further away. That unsettled me more than the whisper the night before. Echoes say space exists where you cannot see. The crypt is generous. It always gives more than you ask if you let it. Midnight came. I pinched the flame. Smoke rose like a question mark. Darkness folded in. I counted breaths the way men count steps on a frozen river, knowing numbers do not change ice but keep panic from breaking it. The voice waited longer. It let me think I had passed. Then it leaned close. Dan, it said. Only Sarah called me that. No one else, not even my mother. I closed my eyes. My body rocked toward the sound like a shipwrecked man leaning to shore. I found your watch in the laundry, it said. Then it spoke a sequence of numbers. The old combination to the small safe we kept under our bed. A code we changed the winter pipes burst. A code we never told anyone. The truth of it landed like a coin in my palm. This is how you buy a soul, I thought, not with terror, with a truth small enough to open the door for you. I opened my eyes, stared at Rule 4, and said nothing. The silence that followed was heavy, disappointed. A scrape marked the stone near my chair. I did not look. I pressed the rosary until my hand bled. The crypt exhaled again. The draft tasted like rain on iron. And that was when I understood. The rules were not written to protect me. They were written to protect whatever waited in the crypt from me. The second night was worse. Rules become heavier when you realize they are not words but chains. I read them aloud again, my voice hollow against the stone. The silver plaque seemed brighter now, as if it enjoyed hearing me repeat its commands. I obeyed. I always obeyed. But my mind was not still. My thoughts carried Sarah into every corner of the chamber. I remembered her voice, her laugh, the way she tilted her head when she doubted me. The voice last night had known that tilt. The rules were not written for strangers, they were written for people who carried ghosts. I sat in the chair, eyes on the alcoves, and wondered how long obedience could hold back memory. The morning after the second night, I walked the graveyard slope again. Frost still lingered on the grass. Stones leaned, some etched with English names, others with shapes that belonged to older tongues. Rule 3. Do not read the names carved in stone, but it is impossible to walk among the dead and not read. Eyes learn faster than obedience. A girl's voice startled me. Are you the new caretaker? I turned. A young woman stood near the fence holding a basket of flowers. Her hair was tied back, her dress plain, her eyes too curious for this place. Yes, I said carefully. Who are you? Emily Ward, she answered. My family has been part of this parish for generations. My grandparents are buried here. She stepped closer, laying flowers on a grave. I tried not to look at the name, but it was carved deep, and the letters entered me before I could resist. You should not be here, I said. Why not? This is a graveyard, not a prison. Her words bit sharper than she intended. She studied me, waiting for an explanation. I had none that would make sense outside the crypt. She lowered her voice. People say the church keeps secrets. My grandmother used to warn me never to go near the altar after dark. She said there were rules, but she never told me what they were. I froze. The word rules did not belong in her mouth. Before I could respond, a figure appeared behind me. Brother Samuel Price, tall, broad-shouldered, his black robe dusted with salt. His eyes locked on Emily with sharp disdain. What are you doing here? He demanded. Emily straightened. Visiting my grandparents. This ground is sacred, Samuel said, stepping closer. And this man is not here to talk with curious girls. He has work, dangerous work, and you are in the way. She did nothing wrong, I said. Samuel's eyes cut toward me. No outsider may enter the crypt. Rule 6. You know this. If you let her wander too close, you break it. She has not entered, I said, my voice firm. Leave her be. His jaw tightened. I will inform Bishop Kessler. Emily looked from him to me, confusion on her face. She must have sensed the weight of the argument, though she did not understand it. She left quickly, basket empty, glancing back once with questions in her eyes. When she was gone, Samuel leaned close. His breath smelled of metal and wine. Do not let your grief make you weak. The rules exist because disobedience feeds what is beneath. Do you want to be the reason the parish burns? I didn't answer. He left me standing among the stones, the plaque's words echoing in my head even above ground. That night the voice was not gentle. It began before midnight, whispering not my name but pieces of memory. Do you remember the day she burned the soup? Do you remember the red dress she hated because it fit too well? Do you remember the last time she said she loved you? Each question struck like a nail. The voice knew details no stranger could invent. I sat rigid in the chair, hands clenched around the rosary until blood dampened the beads. I whispered to the dark, though I knew it was not prayer. What are you? The answer slid from every alcove at once, many voices layered into one. I am memory without mercy. My chest tightened. Rule 4 screamed in my head, do not answer the voice that calls. But had I broken it by speaking first? The rules did not explain. They never explained. I survived the night in silence, but doubt gnawed at me. The next day, Emily returned. She waited near the church steps, her hands clasped behind her back. When she saw me, she asked, "Why does everyone here act like the church is hiding something?" I tried to walk past her, but she followed. "Please," she said, "I know you hear things. My grandmother told me. She said the priests keep something locked away. Is it true?" Her eyes were too open, too innocent. I wanted to protect her from the truth, but the crypt had already touched her family. "Emily," I said softly, "this is not a place for questions. Questions here are like stones thrown into wells. The sound never comes back." She studied me, searching my face. "Then you have heard the voice." I stopped. "What?" "My grandmother once told me she heard my grandfather after he died. She said the church punished her for speaking of it. She warned me never to answer. She said the rules were not meant to keep us safe. They were meant to keep us blind." Her words chilled me. How did she know? Before I could respond, Samuel emerged again, his expression thunder. "You!" he barked. "Leave him alone. You are forbidden here." Emily backed away, but not before slipping a folded scrap of paper into my hand. Samuel did not see. When I opened it later, in the solitude of the rectory, I found a single sentence written in shaky ink. "The rules protect them, not you." That night, the crypt pressed harder. My dreams twisted into memories of Sarah, but each memory bent wrong. She smiled with too many teeth. Her eyes turned black when she said she loved me. The voice whispered from behind the coffin lids, not just calling my name, but laughing softly, as if it knew how close I was to breaking. I woke on the chair, sweating, the rosary biting into my wrist. The plaque glimmered in the dim light, its 7 rules shining like wounds. I read them again, slower this time, and heard not protection, but threat. Silver on skin. No flame after midnight. No names, no answers. Salt the threshold. No outsiders. Leave at sunrise. No looking back. Each command felt less like guidance and more like a leash. For the first time, I wondered, who benefits from my silence? The third night was not a test. It was a trap. The crypt had learned the shape of my silence, and it wanted more. I salted the threshold carefully, dragging the white line across stone, steady as a surgeon's hand. I lit the lantern, checked the rosary, and sat in the chair. The plaque gleamed, hungry for repetition. I read the rules aloud. The echo came back thinner, like a child mocking me from a corridor I could not see. Midnight passed. I snuffed the candle. Darkness pressed close, and the crypt breathed. The voice came immediately. "Daniel," it whispered, "you are not guarding me. You are guarding them from me." I froze. They told you obedience is survival, but obedience is their chain, not yours. Ask Father Grady what happened in Rome. Ask him why he carries scars that shine like silver. The air moved cold across my face. My body leaned forward before my mind decided to. "Who are you?" I asked. "You already know," the voice answered. "I am the memory that will not let you rest. I am the truth they buried alive." My stomach clenched. Had I broken Rule 4? The rule said, "Do not answer the voice that calls." I had spoken first. I had asked the question. Did that matter? The voice did not return. Only silence filled the crypt, heavier than sound. At dawn I climbed the steps. Father Grady waited as always, rigid in the pew. His face looked more hollow in daylight, shadows deep around his eyes. "You spoke," he said flatly. I swallowed. "How do you know?" "The crypt knows. It carries every word spoken in its chamber. You spoke." I asked what it was, I admitted. His jaw tightened, and what did it answer? That I'm guarding them from it, that obedience is a chain. He shut his eyes for a moment, then opened them hard. "It lies. That is all it can do. It will use memory, truth, half-truth, anything to break you. You must not listen." "But what if it is not a lie?" I pressed. "What if the rules protect the wrong side?" His hand gripped the pew until the wood creaked. "Daniel, faith is not about truth. Faith is about obedience. Obedience keeps the world from falling apart." The words burned in me. Not about truth, about obedience. Before I could speak again, another man entered the church. He wore a dark suit, a black hat in his hand. His eyes were pale, sharp as knives. Father Grady rose at once. "Bishop Andrew Kessler," he said. The bishop shook my hand with both of his, a politician's grip, firm and false. "Thank you for your service. Faith in these times requires quiet men. Quiet men save lives." I nodded but did not trust myself to speak. He studied me, eyes bright as glass. "Do not confuse survival with understanding, Mr. Mercer. You are not here to question. You are here to endure." He turned to Father Grady. "If he falters, we will replace him. You know what must be done." Then he left, his shoes striking hard against the floor, each step like a gavel. Emily found me that afternoon. She waited by the graveyard gate, eyes wide, breath sharp. In her hands she carried a bundle of old paper tied with string. "I went through my grandmother's chest," she said. "Look." She opened the bundle. Inside were pages of Latin, faded ink brown as dried blood. I scanned the words. They were rules, but not the same rules. "Always guard the watchers. Speak their names aloud to bind them. Keep flame after midnight to weaken them. Never close the threshold at dusk. Let outsiders witness so the truth spreads. At sunrise, look back to remember who is chained." I stared at the page. My hands trembled. "These are older," Emily said. "Older than the plaque in the crypt. My grandmother copied them when she was young. She said the priests changed them. She said the rules were rewritten." Samuel's voice cut across the graveyard like a whip. "Give that to me." We spun. Brother Samuel Price strode toward us, his robe dark against the pale stones. His eyes burned with anger. "You have no right to hold those words," he shouted. "They are forbidden." Emily clutched the pages to her chest. "They are not forbidden. They are forgotten. And maybe that is the same thing." Samuel lunged, but I stepped between them. His shoulder slammed into mine, nearly knocking me to the ground. His hand clamped my collar, dragging me close. "You are weak," he hissed. "You let her corrupt you. The bishop was right. You will not last." He shoved me hard. I staggered against a headstone. Rage burned in me. Not for myself, but for Emily. I drove my fist into his chest. The blow was clumsy, fueled by anger, but it staggered him. He swung back, catching my jaw. We grappled among the graves, fists and elbows, salt spilling from his robe like sand. At last I forced him back. Blood ran from my nose. His lips split open. We stared, breath ragged, hatred thick as smoke. "This is not finished," Samuel growled. He turned, stalking away. Emily rushed to me. "Are you all right?" I wiped blood from my mouth. "I do not know." She pressed the papers into my hand. "Keep them. You need to see the truth for yourself." That night, when I descended again, the crypt felt different. The plaque shone, but its words seemed hollow. The real rules, the older rules, whispered from the bundle of paper hidden in my coat. I read the plaque aloud anyway. My voice cracked. The echo returned higher, crueler. "Liar," the voice whispered from the alcoves. "You already know. You have seen the truth." The air tightened. I sat in the chair, clutching the rosary, and for the first time, I did not know which words belonged to God and which to chains. The fourth night did not wait for me. The crypt was already breathing harder when I reached the threshold, as though it knew I was coming with questions. I salted the entrance, but the grains scattered strangely, blown back toward me as if the stone exhaled. My lantern dimmed the moment I stepped down the spiral stairs. The plaque shone with its silver words, hungry for my voice. I read them aloud, slower now, doubting each line as it left my mouth. The echo came back distorted, almost mocking. Then the air shifted. A low groan rolled through the chamber, deep as the belly of the earth. One of the coffin lids trembled. Dust drifted from its edges. "You see?" the voice whispered. "The stone does not hold forever. Their rules weaken with each breath. They told you obedience was mercy, but obedience is only a mortar, and mortar cracks." I clutched the rosary, the burrs cutting my palm. My chest pounded. "What are you?" I asked again. "I am what they feared," the voice answered. "Not corruption, continuation. They called us demons because we carried more than one voice. We carried memory, and memory frightens men who build thrones on forgetting." My throat tightened. Images pressed into my mind. Not mine, but forced into me. Men in crimson robes standing in a chamber of marble, silver chains binding figures who glowed with faint light, bishops writing rules in ink and in lies. The Vatican, centuries ago. Rome burying its own secrets. I gasped, stumbling back. The vision dissolved, but its taste lingered. At dawn, I climbed the stairs with shaking hands. Father Grady stood waiting, his expression grim. Bishop Kessler was beside him, his suit immaculate, his eyes colder than before. Samuel loomed in the background, lips still split from our fight. "You have been touched," Kessler said, his voice low and sharp. "It shows in your face." "I saw something," I whispered. "Not lies. History." Kessler's gaze hardened. "History is written by the living, not by what festers beneath stone. Tonight, we burn the crypt clean." Father Grady flinched, as though the word struck him too. "Bishop." "It is decided," Kessler snapped. "A rite of purification, fire and silver. If the caretaker resists, replace him." His pale eyes bored into me. "Do you resist?" I did not answer. Silence was safer than either yes or no. That afternoon, Emily found me near the graveyard gate again. Her face was pale, her hands trembling. "I heard them," she said. "The priests are preparing something. They will destroy it tonight." "Maybe destruction is right," I said, though the words tasted bitter. She shook her head fiercely. "No. My grandmother's writing said the chained ones are not evil. They were meant to be witnesses, keepers of memory. If they burn it, the truth dies with it." Her eyes burned with conviction, brighter than any candle in the crypt. "Daniel, you saw it, did you not? You saw Rome." I could not lie. "Yes." "Then you know," she pressed. "The rules are not gods, they are cages." Before I could reply, Samuel strode from the church. He carried a bundle of white cloth and a blade of silver. His voice was thunder. "The rite begins at sundown. If either of you interfere, the bishop will excommunicate you and worse. Stay away." Emily stepped back, but not far. Samuel's eyes cut into me with pure hate before he turned and vanished into the church. Dusk bled across the fields. Inside, the sanctuary glowed with candles and incense smoke. Bishop Kessler stood at the altar, robes heavy, voice chanting words that tasted like ash in the air. Father Grady assisted, his hands trembling slightly as he arranged vessels of salt and silver oil. Samuel hovered nearby, glaring at me. I slipped into the back pew, unseen for now. Emily crouched near the side door, eyes wide, ready to run if caught. The chanting grew louder. The trap door yawned open. Kessler raised a silver aspergillum and sprinkled oil down the stairs. "Tonight we end what Rome failed to end," he declared. "Tonight obedience seals the world again." The air shifted. A rumble shook the pews. From below came a crack, sharp as lightning splitting a tree. Stone groaned. Dust rose from the stairwell. A coffin lid inside the crypt shuddered, then split with a thunderclap. A pale glow bled upward. Emily gasped. "It is waking." Kessler's face twisted with fury. "Grady, more oil. Seal it." Father Grady hesitated. His eyes met mine across the sanctuary, and for the first time, doubt flickered there. Samuel roared, drawing the silver blade. He advanced toward the stairwell. I stood. "Stop." The bishop's eyes cut to me, cold fire. You were always weak. You listened, you doubted. You will burn with it." Samuel lunged. His blade gleamed in candlelight. I met him halfway. Our bodies crashed. His strength was greater, but desperation lends its own power. The blade grazed my arm, burning like acid where it touched. We grappled, rolling across the aisle, smashing into pews. Emily screamed, clutching the papers of her grandmother to her chest. "Kill him!" Kessler shouted. "Kill the traitor!" The rumble from below grew louder. Cracks spread across the sanctuary floor. Heat poured from the trap door, though the glow was pale, not fire. In the chaos, I looked into Father Grady's eyes. His hands shook, the vessel of oil trembling. He knew the truth. He had always known. "Tell me," I begged, straining against Samuel's weight. "Tell me what they did in Rome!" Grady's face collapsed, his voice cracked. "They called them demons to hide their fear. They caged what they could not control." Kessler roared, striking him across the face. "Silence! You speak heresy!" The floor split wider. From the gap rose a hand of light, human in shape but shimmering with sorrow. The coffin below had broken. Samuel snarled, raising the blade high. I caught his wrist, muscles screaming. The glow washed over us, and in that moment, memories poured into me again. Rome's halls, chains of silver, bishops rewriting rules, priests kneeling not in worship, but in fear. The truth seared itself into me. And then the floor gave way. The floor split like old bone. Stone cracked, pews rattled, candles toppled. The church groaned as though it had carried the weight of lies too long. From the gap rose a figure, not fire, not shadow, light, pale, human in outline, yet more than human. Its face was both clear and blurred, sorrow and memory woven together. Emily clutched her grandmother's pages and whispered, "It is not a demon." Bishop Kessler raised his hands, voice thunder. "Do not be deceived. That thing is corruption itself." The figure turned its face toward him. When it spoke, its voice was many voices at once, layered, carrying centuries. "No. I am what you called corruption to bury your fear. I am the memory you tried to chain. I am what you feared the people would remember." The glow spread, washing the sanctuary in white. For a moment, the painted saints in the stained glass seemed to bow. Samuel broke free of me with a roar, blade flashing. He charged the figure. His swing cut through light, but the blade hissed as though plunged into water. The glow burned him. He screamed, the silver melting into his hand, skin blistering. He fell to the floor, writhing, smoke rising from his flesh. Kessler's fury grew wild. He grabbed the vessel of oil from Father Grady and hurled it at the figure. Fire blossomed across the floor, hungry and gold, but the light absorbed it, bending the flames into itself. "You cannot burn memory," the figure said softly. Father Grady dropped to his knees. His voice shook. "Forgive me. Forgive what we did in Rome. Forgive our fear." Kessler struck him hard across the skull with the silver aspergillum. Grady collapsed, blood painting the floor. Emily cried out, running to him, but I caught her arm. The glow swelled, brighter, pressing into my skull, flooding me with visions again. I saw Rome centuries ago. Priests binding beings of light with chains of silver, calling them demons while whispering to themselves that they had saved mankind. I saw bishops writing new rules, each one designed to ensure silence. No flame, no names, no voices answered, no witnesses allowed. Each line was not protection, each line was erasure. My head throbbed with the weight of it. Kessler's voice cut through the light. "Daniel Mercer, you are no longer a man of God. You are a traitor. Stand aside or die with it." He drew another blade from beneath his robe, longer, etched with sigils. His eyes gleamed with zealotry. Emily clung to me. Do not let him bury it again." I stepped forward, heart pounding. The rules were not meant for us, they were meant for it, but not to protect us from it, to protect it from us. The figure nodded, light trembling like a tear. Kessler screamed and lunged. His blade caught my arm, searing pain ripping through me. I staggered but held my ground. The figure raised its hand. The blade froze mid-air. Kessler struggled, veins bulging, face contorted. "You built your throne on obedience," the figure said, "but obedience without truth is rot." The blade shattered, fragments scattering like sparks. Kessler fell to his knees, gasping, eyes wide with rage and fear. You will end everything." "No," the figure said, "I will end forgetting." Light poured outward. The church shook. Wooden beams groaned. Dust rained from the rafters. Samuel lay moaning, burned and broken. Father Grady bled, whispering prayers. Emily wept silently, clutching my sleeve. The figure stepped fully from the crypt. Its form shifted, human and not, faces flickering across it. Men, women, children, centuries of memory speaking at once. I felt my knees weaken. The weight of those voices pressed into me. I saw Sarah's face among them, clear and sorrowful. She reached toward me. "Daniel," she whispered, "it is not death. It is continuation. We are not lost. We are remembered." My breath broke. My chest ached. My hands shook so hard the rosary fell, beads scattering across the floor. Emily whispered, "It carries them all. Everyone who is silenced, everyone they chained." Kessler crawled to his feet, his voice ragged. "Lies. It steals souls. It devours. That is why it must be caged." The figure turned to him. "I do not steal. I hold. I remember. Your church feared memory because memory makes chains break. Truth cannot be buried forever." Kessler lunged again, bare hands grasping. The light touched him. He froze. His body shuddered. For a heartbeat, his face softened, his eyes filling with something like recognition. Then he screamed, a sound so raw it shattered the nearest stained glass window. When the light withdrew, he crumpled lifeless to the floor. Silence fell. The figure faced me. "Daniel Mercer, you know now. The rules were never for your survival. They were for my silence. What will you do with what you have seen?" I looked at Emily, at Father Grady bleeding on the stones, at Samuel broken but breathing. I looked at the bishop's corpse. The church was trembling, its walls straining. I whispered, "If I walk away, no one will believe me." "Truth does not require belief," the figure said. "It requires memory." It reached out, touching my forehead with a hand of light. Searing warmth rushed into me. My mind filled with voices, Thousands upon thousands, each memory alive, each sorrow shared. I gasped, collapsing to my knees. Emily steadied me, tears running down her face. What happened? I carry them now, I said hoarsely. All of them. The figure stepped back, its glow dimming as though giving itself to me. The crypt behind it closed, stone ceiling as if it had never cracked. The church fell still. When the dust cleared, only silence remained. Days passed. Father Grady survived but never spoke again. Samuel vanished. No one saw him leave, but his robe was gone. Bishop Kessler was buried quietly, no explanation given to the parish. Emily stayed near me, watching, waiting. I could not escape the voices. They whispered at night, memories of strangers flowing through me like tides, pain and joy, terror and love. Sarah's voice was among them, faint but steady. I did not know if I was blessed or cursed. Sometimes, walking through town, I saw faces in the crowd that glimmered with light no one else noticed, others like me, others carrying memory. Perhaps the crypt was only one cage among many. Perhaps the church still chained others, calling them demons. One night, as I sat alone in the rectory, I heard the voice again, not from the crypt, but from within. "Daniel," Sarah whispered, "do not forget. That's all we ask. Do not forget." I pressed my face into my hands. I could not sleep. I could not pray, but I could remember. And maybe that was the point all along. Now you know how it ends. Or maybe how it begins. Not with demons, not with saints, not with fire or silver, with memory, with rules that were not rules at all, only cages dressed as commandments. I was their caretaker. I was their witness. I was their chain. And now I am their voice. The question that remains is not whether they were corruption or evolution. The question is whether obedience is faith or whether faith without truth is the real corruption.